All right, we've got our first guest of the night coming on right now. We've got Kim in the house. How are you, Kim?
Hi, everyone.
So good to
I'm
see you.
good.
Yay!
It's good to see you, April.
You rock, girl. So I'm so glad you're able to come on. It just occurred to me, I guess it was last week. I was like, I don't think Kim's ever been on the show before, and we've known each other for a while now. And that's like a major ball drop on my part since you are a breast cancer survivor.
Oh gosh, no, because I kind of like to slide under the radar with this. I think you know that.
Yeah, we did talk a little bit about that off camera yesterday, and we should get into that a little bit once we kind of get your story out there. Um, I mean, the one thing I'll say is we talked about it the other day is there's a real thing that people may not be familiar with, and it's like survivor's guilt, and it's a real thing. It's where those of us who quote had it easy, kind of almost feel guilty for even talking about going through breast cancer, but when other people have had it way harder. But as I said to you the other day, Kim, everybody's story is unique, and also it's an opportunity for people to learn. So I think it's really good to share every story that we have out there for sure. So your story is absolutely important.
I feel the same way, actually, and it's taken a minute to get there, and I'm coming up on 6 years, so I feel like I'm ready to embrace um, and share the story with you, April,
You're
and your
so
fans.
awesome. You're so awesome. You are so awesome. All right, so we're gonna go back prior to your diagnosis, and I want you to take us through how you got there. Were you going and getting screening done regularly?
Yes, yes. So my mom had breast cancer. So I was well aware that I was going to start my mammograms long before the required age was supposed to be. So I had been doing them regularly since I was, oh gosh, in my 40s,
Yeah.
early 40s. And so, yeah, I had a mammogram every single year. And then we moved down to Texas. And then I kind of paused for a minute because health insurance and such. And I don't know why it always has to be about the money, but here we are. So then they weren't as routine, let's call it that way. And then finally, I went back for my routine mammogram in January. I like to do all my like health stuff at the beginning of the year so I can make sure it's all done by the middle of the year. And my routine mammogram was like, oh, there's something. Um, let's send you to a little ultrasound. So, and I'd heard that term before with my routine mammograms. Like, sometimes you got to go back for um, like a second check kind of thing. And it's always been fine till it wasn't.
I've been there before. I totally can relate to that.
hmm
Yeah, yeah. So, so was this the how many times before that had you had to go back for a second check? Do you recall?
Probably at least 3 times. At least 3 times. So I've gotten and because I was so routine at it that it didn't phase me. A routine like, to go back for a second check was no big. So then this time around, though, what was different in the States, which is a little bit different than Canada medicine, I would just go back for like a second mammogram. Whereas here, I got sent for an ultrasound. And
Right.
that's
It's
in,
like a totally different view, essentially.
yeah.
And
And the
Kim,
ultras,
Kim, how
go ahead.
long had you been getting screened before this was detected?
So I was 48 when I got diagnosed. So 8 years. So
Gotcha.
at least 8 years. Actually, now I want to think that I went back in my 30s a little bit more, but
Yeah.
at least 8 times I'd gone for mammograms,
Gotcha.
and so probably about 3 times I went back, and
Gotcha.
this will be the fourth time
Hmm.
for a repeat. But again, with the ultrasound, I think they were able to go a little. It was a different view, exactly like you said, and they said, yeah, no, we definitely see something, and we need you to go to a biopsy.
And so, how soon after they told you that did you have your biopsy?
Real quick, actually. And again, shout out to the facilities down here and the medicine down here, because it all just went so fast and so smooth. So, like, we're talking within, as soon as I called for an appointment, it's what worked for me. Like, I didn't have to wait. I didn't have to be on a wait list. I didn't have to, like, um, sit and wait for somebody to be available. Like, it was just when it was convenient for me. So
Wow.
I got in to see my biopsy like 2 weeks later, I think, something like that.
Yeah, yeah. And so you're saying in Canada things would have been a lot harder?
Yes,
Like
yeah.
like
There's
go ahead and tell us what the difference would be.
it's just it's a waiting game, right? So um, it's definitely it's gosh, it's free healthcare, but it's there's a wait list. You've Here there's options. Everyone, it moves quickly. There, I think you would wait. I'm just going to ballpark low, because, but I feel like you would wait at least a month in between appointments, and actually, it's probably more like 6 months in between appointments.
Wow, that's
Yeah,
crazy. And Kim, just so you know, I think I got in for my biopsy within like just a few days.
yeah.
So yeah, I mean it was fast. That is a big compliment to how medicine is here for sure.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And so biopsy was quick. Hurt more than I thought it was gonna. Not gonna lie.
Was this the first ever biopsy you had had?
Yeah, yeah, it
Yeah.
was. So it was the first time it went this far. Like, for my repeat, again, like I said, I had a couple of repeats, but then once they sent me to biopsy again, I'm not so worried about it, because you know it's just another step. And then I need to share my story about the biopsy, because I mean, this is routine for them. They've done 20 that day alone, kind of thing. And she said, no, just relax. It's all routine. It's all fine. Looks real good. And she did the biopsy, and she goes, yeah, I think we're good. I think I got it all. And she goes, honestly, darling, I don't think you need to worry, because, I do this. And I'm like, okay. And again, not worried, because,
Well,
um,
yeah, that gave you even less reason to worry.
uh-huh.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
like, here's my doc, who's, or no, she was the
Technician.
doctor, yeah,
Yeah. Uh,
there. And so I'm like, okay, yeah. And again, it's all routine at this point. So then, when I was at my, this is part of my story. I was at my friend's house because we were going away for a weekend, and I was getting the dogs to play with each other so that they could babysit my dog for the weekend, because we just gotten a new puppy. And so I'm at my friend's house, and they call with my results, but I let it go to voicemail, because I'm like, oh, it's fine. Like, she thinks it's going to be nothing. We're all good. I've done this before, and I let it go to voicemail. And she left me a voicemail and told me that I
oh, wow.
had. She told me my diagnosis, and my next step would be to see an oncologist.
Wow. So was this the doctor that left the message or a nurse?
Doctor, yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
Which, in a way, I guess, when I look at it now, I go, I don't think they were supposed to do that. But she said, I know you're going away for the weekend. I know you want these results, but, and I'm glad she did, because I played that voicemail, I bet you 150 times. Because
But
I'm like,
so did that
are you
just happen?
sure?
Yeah, did that just
Yes,
happen kind of thing? Yeah.
yes. And then,
Wow.
because I would have been by myself or whatever, if I had answered the phone, then I would have been like, did I get that right? Did I make it? Am I wrong? Like, so actually, I'm 100% grateful for that voicemail.
Yeah, I mean, man, you already have such a positive outlook on literally everything that had happened up until this point. But the biopsy itself, you mentioned it was super painful. Do you
Oh
recall,
gosh.
was it a cord needle biopsy? Do you remember what it was called?
Oh, I don't remember the terms, but um, that sounds very
Like
familiar.
you were awake, they just kind of did some
Yep,
lidocaine or whatever,
and
some numbing.
yep, and then they like, they basically did a mammogram in the office kind of thing,
Uh-huh.
and then went and got it out that way.
I see. So they like chipped it a little bit, got a little sample or whatever. And so it
Yes.
wasn't you don't recall it being like an ultrasound guided biopsy or anything like that.
No, it was mammogram guided, and it was a big needle,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it bruised for like about
Yeah.
14 days.
Yep.
And I'm like, well, that was not pleasant.
Yeah, I have pictures of the side of my breast where they went in. So if you have pictures of your bruise, we'd have to compare sometime.
Yes, I think I do, because
See?
I'm like, "Oh, that's not normal."
Right, right. You're like, what's happening here? Wow. So, okay, how many days after you had the biopsy did you get that diagnosis?
Oh gosh, so I was trying to look back on my, because I kept a journal of all this, and of course, I can't find it now because we've moved, and you sort of want to tuck those things away a little bit. So it all happened super fast. So, and I'm coming up on my 6 year anniversary, because all this was happening in May, and I know that I asked my friend, I go, when did you order? Because my friends, of course, they rally and did all the stuff. And I go, when did you order those silly little t-shirts that had, like, Team Kim on it and everything? Not silly, but
I love that. No,
the
that's
whole
so
group
awesome.
showed up
Yeah,
in a matching t-shirts.
love that.
She goes, I ordered them the end of June. So coming up right around my birthday is when, so that leads me to, I'm going to jump ahead a little bit. It didn't take long for those biopsy results to come. And we were planning this like little birthday weekend kind of, I think we are going to go float the river in San Marcos, kind of thing for my birthday. And so all that happened. And on my birthday, we did my float trip, got my results, my biopsy results, did my float trip. And then I went to the oncologist on my birthday, and
Oh
I
my
turned
gosh.
48. And she
Wow.
goes, why are you here on your birthday? And I said, honestly, I can't think of a better way to celebrate a birthday. Like, we're going to take care of this. We're going to get it done, knock it out. Like, it's going to be fine.
That's so awesome. So, you mentioned in the beginning that your mom had breast cancer, right?
Yeah.
And what happened with her? Did she
So she was a survivor. She lost a breast. She went through all the chemo, radiation. She did lose one breast. However, I feel like she ended up passing from colon cancer. And I feel like that was a direct result of the. So even though the breast cancer had um, been, she was cancer free of the breast, I feel like it had spread, because she died quickly thereafter from colon cancer, probably, gosh, 8 years later. And when
wow.
they found the colon cancer, it wasn't new. It was fairly,
It had been there for a
um,
while.
yeah.
Yeah. Gosh, it's
I
so
feel like it's
terrifying.
a direct results, kind of. And that's just what I think.
Yeah. And how old was she, Kim, when she
Gosh,
passed?
when she passed, she was 63.
Wow.
And then when she had breast cancer, she was 55.
Wow.
I think yes. So that brings me to my oncology story, because so I'm sitting with my oncologist, and she's like, hey, we got some options here, so we have, we can just do a lumpectomy. Sorry if I'm jumping ahead, April. We can do a lumpectomy. It was in the left breast. We can take off the left breast, or we can do a double mastectomy. And I'm like, well, that seems ridiculous. A double mastectomy, like, feel like we can take care of this, just basically. And then she goes, well, here are your options. And she was very good and very detailed. And she said, and I remember she said, or we can treat it aggressively and take both breasts. I'm like, well, it seems like a lot. And then we went home to think about it. And my husband was like, why not both? And I said, this seems like a lot. And he goes, we're gonna have this conversation in 5 years from now. Like, what are we doing here?
Wow, yeah.
So
That's
I'm
very
like,
meaningful coming from a husband, you know,
and I'm like,
it's
okay.
sort of, yeah.
So we're thinking about it, and then again, you ask like your friends and family, and like, this is what we're doing, this is what we're thinking, and 100% of my responses were take both, take them both. And I'm like, wow, okay. And of course, it was my decision in the end, but I'm like, okay, well, 20 of my friends and family that love me think we got to go hard on this. So let's do it.
Wow, that's awesome. I mean, that's awesome
Hmm.
to have that kind of support and like also just like obviously your friends and family love you a lot because there was nothing more important to them than you surviving.
Right.
You know, so they wanted you to go aggressive for that reason.
Right. And they actually could see it more clearly than me because I was still just, whoa, 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 baby steps here. And they
Yeah.
were like, no, they were 100%. And now that, again, my 6 year is coming up, I can't believe I even just second guessed it kind of thing. I can't believe,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah. Wow, that's so crazy. So you had the double mastectomy. Did you do
uh-huh.
reconstruction?
I did. I did. And um, I did. And it was mostly because I was still young, kind of, so I was like, I still want that. And I remember I got a Facebook message from one of my friends from um, when I was 20 years old. And she's like, Cam, you should just leave them both off and just get tattoos all down the front of your chest.
Get a
And
big
I'm like,
battleship or something.
yes. And I'm like, I really want to do that so bad. But
How funny.
I didn't.
Yeah, yeah,
But yeah,
no, I got you. That's I mean, I'm glad that you made some decisions that you felt, you know, that you were at peace with, you know. So
yes.
that's
Yeah.
a really big deal. Um, you know, after that, did well, I know what I was going to ask you. Do you know if it was like ER positive, PR positive or anything like
No,
that? You don't
no,
know?
it was none of it. It was none of it. And then when people ask, like, do I take medicine still? I'm like, no, I don't. Like um, it was stage 0 and it was called, what was it called? Um, ductal carcinoma in situ.
Gotcha. Okay. So they weren't able to say if it was hormone driven or not, I guess.
No,
Okay, got you. And so then you didn't have any chemo either?
no. So
So,
that was part of my option.
uh-huh.
So one of the thing with the lumpectomy was radiation and then medicine after. And I really didn't want that. Like, um, I know it's life saving medicine, but I didn't really want that medicine. I didn't want to have to be on that for following years and such. And so that was another deciding factor of if you take both, then like basically we're done. Like they're gone, it's done. And then I'm like, okay, so that feels like a better option.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
take them both, be done. I saw my oncologist for a couple of years on follow up, and then um, so as far as the breasts are concerned, we're good.
That's awesome. You know, your
Mm-hmm.
story reminds me of Lori Peters, who's watching right now. She had a single mastectomy and didn't have any chemo or radiation after that. And so it's very similar. I also, somebody who's on one of our committees had the surgery. I think it was a double mastectomy and opted not to have chemo, even though they actually wanted her to. And so, you know, and everybody's still going strong. So, you know, everybody makes the decisions that they
Right.
feel are best for themselves. And, you know, I think it's really cool, Kim, that your doctor gave you those, you know,
Yeah.
options. They were just like, here's the only way. They
Right.
explained to you, you know, here's kind of going at it, just a little lumpectomy or whatever. But if you want to go really aggressive, here's the other end of the spectrum. And then they gave you everything in between. And, you know, I was blessed that my doctor did the same thing. And I think that just gives you more power, that knowledge of being able to make a decision about that rather than being told this is the only way or whatever.
Right.
So,
Oh gosh, 100%. Yes.
yeah.
Um, yes. So lucky with that because I'm not sure that in Canada, those that many options would have been available to me. I can't say that for sure. Of course, my mom, that was a long time ago, but right, there's just not. I just don't feel like there would have been that many options
Well,
for sure.
you were at the place that you were supposed to be when all of this
Yes,
happened, you know?
we talk about this all the time because, again, my husband was a contractor in the United States for a long time, and so we pay our own health insurance and stuff, and it was expensive for sure. And then he had just started a job with a company that had like a pretty sweet healthcare package, and then I got my diagnosis.
Wow.
So
Yeah,
it
it's just
was
like
100 times I've been in the right place at the right time for sure.
yeah, wow, that's so crazy.
Hmm.
So you had
Yeah.
the surgery. How did
Uh-huh.
you feel about everything after you had the surgery? A lot of people go through a very emotional time after having a mastectomy. How did you feel after that?
Um, I so I think in my mindset, I was just like, let's just get through it. Like, let's just get through it. Let's just get done kind of thing. I didn't have, I think I was just a very in the process of dealing with it all right now. Um, and we'll circle back to this, but it wasn't until about 2 years ago at Drumathon that I feel like I had a holy cow moment where like I really fully dealt with a lot of stuff walking into Drumathon, but we'll get back to that. So um, I was just get through it. Like I was fine. The surgeries went okay. Again, surgeries were fine. It was a long surgery. They were like 7 hours in there.
Wow, wow, that's
It took
crazy.
some
Yeah.
lymph nodes, 7 hours in there. And that's like little by little, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is like so much. Like it's a big deal. 7 hours in the surgery. I did okay of it. I recovered okay. My friends rallied like you wouldn't believe. Like I never had a reason to like even I wasn't even sick that bad ever that my friends had a chance to rally like that. I'm telling you, I have no idea. I knew people like me, but I had no idea like how much they love me.
Oh, that's so awesome. I've said that before about going through breast cancer. It's like being at your own funeral because, you
Yes.
really actually get to see how everybody feels about you because they're
Yes.
afraid you're going to die. And so, you just realize how much love you have in your life, made very
So
apparent.
yep, we went through the surgery. It was okay. Then we got home, and oh my gosh, April, the food. I can't even remember who started the food train, but at one point we're like, y'all, we don't have enough
Stop with the
fridge.
food.
Like the
That's
door
such
was
a
just,
cool problem to have, man. That is
I
so
know,
awesome.
the
Gosh,
door
so
was just
cool.
opening and the food was coming. And but what I loved about that was like of course my kids were old enough and Ron's there, he can cook, but they didn't have to. And we're not even talking like we're talking like brisket and ribs and like beautiful like Italian dinners. Like, oh my God, the food was amazing. Of course, I didn't have any, but they did. But my family did.
Yeah, but
And
that's
that's what I love
taking
is,
care of your family, during
yeah.
that time. It's a lot to deal with.
Yeah. So the food came. Oh my gosh. One of my friends hired a maid for my house for 2 months so I didn't have to clean anything. Again, that's something I didn't ever think of. And I'm like, oh my gosh, what an amazing thing. When I was in the hospital, one of my friends brought a bunch of cookies to the nurses station, and then she brought my husband a sandwich. So I'm lying, like, I wake up from, I think I was past recovery, but I was in my room and I wake up and I just see like Ron eating this, like, it's just probably like a basic roast beef and cheese, but somebody thought to bring my husband like food. And I'm
That's
like,
just so
how
cool.
amazing is
Yeah,
that?
that's very
It's so
thoughtful.
cool.
Yeah, yeah,
Yes.
totally.
I'll never forget that. Like, I felt the love for sure, but when you show my family love, then come on. Come on.
That's awesome. Well, and it just
Yeah.
speaks to the how important it is to have a really strong, friendship and family and a support group, just there
Hmm.
for you during that kind of a time, and to not be afraid to reach out to them. But I mean, having folks that just automatically are doing all these things for you is just got an amazing group of friends and family there.
And what a way to teach me though, too. Like you can bet I'm not the cook of the family, but if I know somebody's going through something, I'm dropping off a tailgate of canes at their house with some French fries. Like I'm definitely, I definitely learned to show up because of that for sure.
Oh, that's so cool.
Hmm.
So Kim, after your surgery and everything, how often were you needing to go back in for screening and things like that? Like, did you still go to the oncologist for a little while after that?
A little while. I spent probably about the next 6 months mostly just seeing my plastics, um, and going in with the reconstruction part of it. So it still felt like I was in the thick of things, but on the other side of it. Gosh, I can't remember. I know she wanted to see me. I think she wanted to see me initially, and then not, and then maybe like 6 months later. And then we did another 6 months visit, and then like then I didn't need to see her anymore because like we didn't need to see I didn't need to see her anymore. But I
Oh,
was still with my plastics at that time,
yeah.
and
So do you
so
do
we.
any like self exams at all just around
I
like
don't
yeah,
because like the breasts were gone,
right.
so like all that's there is just um, make believe.
Make believe, yes. Yeah, I was just wondering if like sometimes I'll check like under my arms and stuff like that just to make sure that there's nothing going on, or I didn't know if your like primary did stuff like that or anything.
Um, no, and actually surprisingly no. Like so yeah, I see my primary every year for sure. And she pretty much just waves it off. She's like, breasts are fine. Okay, next. So then now I do actually kind of wonder like, should I be on the lookout for something else? But because they caught it all and they got it all out and the breasts are gone, I maybe have a false sense of security, but
Well,
you know,
I mean, I wouldn't say that. Obviously, they have a lot of confidence in it, which is giving you confidence in it.
right.
You know what I mean? So it's not like you're just like, you know, doo 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 off in
Right.
some other land. Like they're giving you that confidence. If they're not concerned, then obviously you feel you shouldn't be either. And
Right.
so yeah, yeah. I mean, I think that's a really great vote of confidence. Actually, that that's how they feel. You know,
Hmm.
Kim, Kim,
Go ahead.
did you ever do any genetic testing at all?
Yes, I did.
And how
I
did that
did.
turn out?
It all turned out good, and which was good because I needed that for my girls. I've got two beautiful girls and a boy, but uh, actually I have three beautiful children. I needed to make sure that uh, what we were working with
Right,
inside to make sure.
right,
So,
right.
and everything was okay, which I found surprising
Yeah,
because
yeah,
like for my mom to have it and
right.
then for me to have it and but then now my girls theoretically shouldn't have it.
Yeah, I mean, what I've been told is essentially because I have a lot of cancer on my dad's side, but I tested negative for all the genes that they've found to associate with breast cancer. But more than likely, it just means that the genes that we have in our family that has that haven't been found yet. So then they're probably not
Right.
as prominent, obviously. So there's probably some like I go back every now and then to get further genetic testing if they've opened up to more genes, because when I first was diagnosed there was like 4 genes that they would test you for, and then it was like 18, and then it was like 38 or something. So it's
Okay.
constantly they're constantly finding more genes that uh associate back to breast cancer. Usually more than often than not it's a lower percentage rate than the ones that they've already found, because the ones they've already found, they're a high percentage rate, the BRCA and everything like that. But then there's other ones that have a lower percentage rate. So I continue to get tested, and I'll have to let you know next time I get tested, because if I get tested again, that means that there's more available that we could get tested
Right.
for, and so we could like go together or something.
Yes, and bring the babies
I
because
know.
I need to make sure that
I know, right? I
Mhm,
know. I know. I mean, I think the most important thing that we can do with I was gonna say our kids. I don't have kids, but
mhm,
with the next generation of folks is just make sure that they're aware, because as you've learned on your own, early detection is really where it's at. Like,
yep,
so long as you find it early, it can be combated. You can win. But if you're not paying attention, that's when things can go south. So it's always to know your body. I know we have a mutual friend in Jennifer Tatum, and that's the one thing that she always talks about is know your body. So, that's a really solid thing to keep in mind for sure.
I'm so thankful for Jennifer. It was so funny because my friend introduced me to Jennifer, and now, so yes, I'm so happy to have met her, and now she's gave me to you, so that's so great.
Yes, and we didn't even talk about that. Let's take about 5 minutes because we are right at time right now. But I do want to take 5 minutes
Yeah.
to talk about how you came to be associated with Breast Cancer Could Stick It, and talk about Drumathon, what it was like coming to Drumathon.
Oh my gosh, so that's exactly it. So it was Jennifer that, so my friend said, "Hey, you need to talk to Jennifer. Uh, she's had breast cancer before." So, surprised how many people have had breast cancer in my non-group, but had reached out to me, and so I got in touch with Jennifer, and she was like, but she was the one that was not like, "Hey, how you doing?" She was like, "Embrace me, like come to me, like let's work through this together." And then, so I shared all my stuff with her, and then it was a couple years. So, like I say, I'm 6 years now. Probably about 3 years later, she said, like, when you're ready, you need to come out and no, it wasn't even volunteer. She said, come out to Drumathon. You're gonna love it. Like, just come in and check it out. And I never had the opportunity to. And then one year I came, and I think it was like, so it was 2 years ago. So it was 4 years. And I think I'd had enough time to deal with it all, to process it. I'm healed. I'm good. I feel like I'm normal again. And then I walked into Drumathon, and I lost it. Bawled my eyes out for about 2 hours. I couldn't stop crying. And I felt like that was my full circle moment.
Oh, I love that. Kim, you're one of at least two people I know that had that reaction to Drumathon, and I'm glad that I think what it is it's just that you could see all the passion and support about
Yeah.
what we're doing, and about fighting breast cancer, and how serious we are about just loving on those people who are survivors and warriors. It's a big part of what
Yes.
we do, you know.
And when you're ready to like deal with it, or like to come through and then ready to help, like however you wherever you're at, it meets you there. So at that point I was just ready, I guess, to you know embrace it. And then I'm like, Jennifer, I'm ready. Like, what do you need from me? She's like, um, and she got me set up.
And you've been awesome. I'm so
And
grateful.
here we
I know,
are.
and now we're here, and it's taken us this long, but I'm so glad that you were able to join tonight. I do want to check here. I've got a lot of people who are shouting out to you, Kim, on the
Oh,
chat here. So I gotta go back and make sure I catch all these people. Sorry, I'm going all the way back here to find folks who gave you shout outs. So let's see. We got Rachel says, "Let's go, Kim." Woohoo! She says, "Hey, Kalisha Burke." She says, "We
mm-hmm,
love you, Kim." Shirlea says,
mm-hmm.
"Kim," and has the love on it. Kimura says, "Let's go, Kim." Fire. That's awesome. And then Courtney says, "Hello, my friend." We got Jessica in the house, says, "Woohoo, Kim." Jennifer Tatum, she says, "Kim, you are amazing and brave, and we're lucky to have you volunteering with our team." I echo that. So cool. Rachel says, speak your truth, girl. And I know you did too. Let's see what else we have here. Yeah, a lot of people are hashtagging Team Kim. That's so cool. You'll have to go back and look at this, though.
Uh,
You're very, very popular, Kim.
Listen, I have a fan base.
You do. You
No,
do. Yeah, you totally do. Come on.
we got shirts. We got shirts, and
I
we
know.
got.
That's so
Oh my
awesome,
gosh,
man.
my husband bought like 500 of those like rubber bands. Team Kim.
Oh, that's so awesome. I love that. I love all that. That's all so amazing. And I know, Kim, that your story is going to provide inspiration and hope to women out there watching. And, especially to women who are wondering if they should go get a mammogram or have that ultrasound,
Yes,
that are scared, that you've given them some hope and courage to go and do that and make sure that they take good care of themselves.
and don't be afraid to be aggressive. I
Yeah.
don't now 5, 6 years later, I have no idea why I hummed and hawed.
Yeah.
Be aggressive.
Amen. We could do like a cheer. Be aggressive. Be aggressive. That'll be the next shirt, Kim. We'll work on that, okay? Sweet. All right, girl. Well, thank you so much for joining tonight. It was really great to chat with you. And this interview will be on our YouTube channel at youtube.com/breastcancercanstick, youtube.com/breast cancer can stick, because the it was too long for YouTube. So be sure and check this out. If you join late, be sure to watch the replay. And again, thank you so much, Kim, and I will see you at the next event, okay?
Bye, everyone.
Take care, girl. See ya. All right, everybody, give it up for Kim. She's a rock star. So good to have her on.